This is Eirene, a female Alioramus, also known as a vixen. Though Alioramus are social, she chooses to travel alone. On this day, she runs upwind, carried by a scent. Upon arrival, Eirene finds more than she'd been looking for. Next to the rotting corpse stood an iguanodon mar. Smaller groups of Alioramus will trail behind herbivores, acting as shepherds. Eirene had the same idea in mind. With patience, she could end up with a meal. After just a day of travel, Eirene is alerted to her Mari's distressed calls. A pair of Allosaurus. She must have patience. Finally, the mare corners one of the Allosaurus against a cliff, dealing a devastating blow. The ravage retreats. The iguanodon's aggressive broadcasts tells her it's go time. Eirene rushes to finish off her cattle's attackers. As swift as they were, she knew they were injured, tired, and she knew she was faster. Eirene beams it towards the darker of the two, ignoring its partner as their wounds show greater. A success. She will now feast and guard her meal for days. With a full belly, she will rest and heal her minimal scratches. That evening, Eirene was woken to the sound of footsteps. She is approached confidently by another lone vixen. It is Aria, her niece. Eirene does not reject this company. However, she makes a silent protest as Aria helps herself to her hard-earned meal by hoarding a meat chunk. As Aria ate, it was clear she had been through a rough time. With a soggy coat from travel, she engulfed all she could fit in her mouth, apparently starving. Eirene watched on as the vixen she helped raise laid down to rest in the grass. She'd let her rest until sunrise. That next morning, the vixen had abandoned the skeletal remains of her Allosaurus corpse, making her way to Redwoods. Unannounced to her, Eirene's willingness to share had been taken as an invitation. Aria trailed close behind. The older Alioramus wasn't bothered by her niece's presence, however. She did appear unnerved over her excitement at times. Even so, the young female was just eager to form a stronger bond, mimicking her aunt's behaviors, and trailing her wherever she went. Aria attempts to show off her large mushroom. Unfortunately, it looked more impressive in her head. Nevertheless, Eirene will allow her inexperienced kin a chance. Later that day, the pair came across a peculiar individual. A male Danoshirus had, too, noticed their presence. He, however, did not appear as interested in them as they were him. It was feeding time. Not discouraged and quickly seeking new adventure, they move on their way. Locating a nearby secluded pond, Eirene and Aria thought they'd take some time to play. A swimming lesson. And a test to their agility. Whoops. But there became more to worry of than just lost footing. With squawks of terror, they bolted from the water at the sight of a Tyrannosaurus Rex pair. Regrouping nearby, they sat next to one another to recuperate and offer comfort. Even though frightened, their curiosity drove them to keep an eye on the apexes. A week later, we find our two vixens on the move, still remaining in Redwoods. This time, however, it was not out of whimsy. They've caught a scent. Two Torvosaurus, known as a coalition. Neither Eirene nor Aria combined had enough strength to take on these apex hunters, however. Patience could prove vital. A rival pairing appears. A challenge for territory is made by the second coalition's male and is accepted by the initial pack. As Torvosaurus are extremely aggressive towards unwanted carnivores, neither are willing to back down. In no time, a brutal fight commences for life. These cannibalistic dinosaurs will show no mercy, snapping and aging ruthless wounds. It is a perfect scene to get an easy meal out of. The initial pack surrenders just in time to save the female's life. This is when Eirene leads the hunt, gunning for the weakest. She swiftly learns that the Torvosaurus' turn is not to be underestimated. Soon her partner returns to protect her flank, but on their rears roar the victorious coalition, escorting them out of the territory. The male, also known as a Valor, attempts to scare off the vixens while letting his partner create distance. It is no secret that they are in danger, at the mercy of the rival coalition. However, the question is, can Eirene and Aria pull this off? A fatal mistake. Eirene calls it off, crying for Aria to follow. A close call and grave wounds are sustained. With what strength they have left, they run to find somewhere to collapse. Finally, she can run no longer and lowers herself to the ground. Aria stays by her side. Eirene, in this moment, felt ever so grateful for her niece. They would take time here to recover as much as possible. Their bond had grown much over the past season, and trust was developed further today. Days after her strength had returned, Eirene was alerted to the presence of two Utahraptors traveling by. Burning the last of her reserves, she pursued this hunt, having not had a meal in days. Finally, food. The vixens share a short celebration of a successful hunt. Then they feast. This would be the last meal they'd spend together, at least for now. Aria had blossomed into a competent and intelligent hunter, thus Eirene felt comfortable parting ways. Perhaps they'd come across one another in the future. Until then, they'd spend this last evening chattering and enjoying one another's company.